guys, what's going on? I'm Eliza and welcome to yet again another vlog. I actually have a question for you. Why is it that our generation seems to be the generation of locked-in contracts? I don't know about you guys, but is anybody else in this perpetual cycle of bills and things they need to remember, like constantly? I read so many articles on what I should do to stay healthy, to earn more money, to become more successful, and most of all to stay connected with the latest trends, fads and services that are provided for my generation, particularly with technology. Things like Netflix and Spotify and stuff like that. I don't know about you guys, but each month is figuring out when my phone bill is due, when my Netflix is due, when my car registration is due, and also like Spotify as well, when that's due. It's constant for me. I feel like I'm a slave to this contract society, but I'm sure I'm not alone. I'm sure this is a problem for everybody. It's just the way that our society has changed. We just get contracts. Yes, I agree, I could just drop one of those subscriptions a month, but realistically, am I going to resubscribe every time I want to, do Netflix or my phone? Yes, it is true. Sometimes I don't watch as much Netflix each month, or my phone. Sometimes I don't use my phone as much, but am I really going to go on and resubscribe each month? Probably not. I pay for the convenience. Like, it's hard enough remembering when the money's going to be taken out of my account for one of these things, but to actually remember to resubscribe and actually go and do that sort of thing, I don't think it's going to happen. Like, I always worry about things with my phone, for instance, like what if I need it in an emergency? What if I need Netflix in an emergency? The scary thing is that these aren't even like the necessities, so forget petrol, food, outings, board, tax, definitely not savings. On top of this as well, like, my mind is constantly filled of dates and important things to remember, especially things that help me remain part of society and keep up with everything that's going on, and all the other things I need to do. It could be like due dates for assignments, it could be exams, it could be birthdays, it could be weddings, it could be work, it could be volunteering or offering yourself for work experiences so that you can better your chance of getting a job or something like that. Personal development, study. I haven't even talked about any rest and relaxation yet. Holidays, social outings. Forget free time. Forget alone time. Like, it just doesn't happen. It doesn't exist for me. I guess as time goes on, more and more people will have to get these degrees, to earn the income they want, to live the life that they want, and not only that, but to live the life that they were told that they could live if they go to university and do the degree, do the hard work, do what you're supposed to, the right thing. But in reality, I don't think that's what happened. But the reality is, I don't think that's what has happened. Not at all. And we're not necessarily guaranteed anything, even with a degree. It's pretty much no wonder why we see younger generations do such a wide variety and higher frequency of jobs, especially more than any other generation and the way that it used to be. We pretty much don't have a choice, we need to. Unless you somehow fall into your dream job, it generally will take more than just getting the degree and that piece of paper. It'll take experience, it'll take volunteering, basically a whole lot of extracurricular activities that you can put on your resume to prove that you are better and you do stand out more so than anybody else going for that kind of job. So there is this unrelentless competition amongst my own peers and people my age trying to compete to get into the workforce and get the jobs that we want. And generally, once you do all that, you go to school, you get your good grades, you finish your degree, maybe you'll do your honours or your masters or your PhD, or you'll do a double degree, you'll do all of that, and then you finally get out and you start at the bottom. It doesn't work the way that we want it to. Everything takes time. I never really used to understand what my dad used to say when I was growing up. He would always be like, there's going to be jobs that we haven't even heard of by the time you graduate. And I was like, how does he know? If it doesn't exist, how the hell does he know it's got to exist? Like, do you know something I don't know? I don't get it. Now that I have some perspective with that, I can kind of see that we're constantly changing and constantly adjusting. And that was the only way that it could go for us, with the uniqueness and individualism around the world, and as well as this globalization type thing. New jobs were always going to be created, especially with technology and finding different ways of doing things. I guess one big problem is the rate at which the cost of living has increased is far greater than the rate at which the way we earn money has increased. I've pretty much accepted that I'm probably never going to be able to afford a house. That is most likely at this stage, unfortunately. Thankfully, my parents have been able to support me. I'm very lucky like that. I realise that isn't the reality for everybody. Some people have to pay their own way. Some people have to pay for their degrees in advance. Some people have to pay for living on top of that. Thankfully, I've been able to live with my parents and just pay a small amount of board, so that I've been able to afford to spend so much time on uni and work and put it all together and study and do all this sort of thing, and I'm still struggling. So for anyone who doesn't have that, I can understand how the system is fucked and how you're not going to like it, how it's set up to fail for most people. Hence why I'm doing this sort of thing. I want it changed. I want everybody to be able to have an equal opportunity with education, being able to attend the schools that they want, no matter what your parents earn, where you come from, because education is the key to everything, clearly. That isn't even a sarcastic, that is true. With education, people can learn to make their own way, to make decisions for themselves while being informed, not just being a slave to the system, basically. It's not sustainable to count every cent. It's stressful. My life is stressful, even though I have that. So I can't imagine what people who don't have that extra support, what it's like. I struggle on my wage. I struggle with the amount of time I have, with the things I have to do just to get by, and to make something of my life. It's a challenge. It's a balancing act, I guess what gets me as well is when people say to me, or my fellow peers, or people that I can see are really trying, but the system's hard to break out of, to say that people just simply aren't working hard enough. The people saying that are generally probably the result of a system that worked for them. Things have changed now, obviously. To have older generations sort of tell you that your generation is lazy and this is all you're doing is frustrating, to say the least. I took a couple of breaks in my study career from school. I'd been to uni and then I left, and then I've come back now, and I'm obviously studying at the moment, doing teaching, and I'm doing law, and I'm going to be at university until I'm 28, and that's only finishing one of my degrees, so I don't even know if I'm going to be able to finish the other one. I'd love to study for longer, but being a 30-year-old student, it's not ideal to live without some kind of income by that age, when you're expected as a 30-year-old to be able to contribute to society properly. It's hard to want to go to uni, and I mean I do, but it's too hard to do that. So again, we have this problem now where I'm competing with people who have 2 or 3 degrees, and I have to make the call whether I'm going to keep studying or whether it's something that I'm trying to get by with my 1 degree, so then I have to dedicate time to volunteering and networking and work experience and getting to know people who could perhaps help mentor me into positions that I want to get into. Like I said, starting from the bottom and working your way up. Even once I finish, I'm pretty much stuck with debt and unemployment until somebody hires me. I'm constantly looking for ways to help better myself as a person, but also to give myself the absolute best opportunity to succeed, to find something that allows me to feel content and happy with my life and what I'm doing, that I'm giving back something unique, basically, and contributing in a positive way. And I hope that I can give back to these future generations, and hope that that helps them succeed in this tumultuous, chaotic, and pretty much unpredictable an unpredictable world. The world's pretty much advancing quicker than we can keep up as individuals. We have to work together. This is why I believe eventually we'll have a system where we won't have one single leader of a country, but maybe a whole lot of different experts, whether it be through an expert in education, economics, science, sociology, psychology, working together, across disciplines, basically, and getting the best idea so we can help as many people as possible. It blows my mind that people in charge, people in charge. Leaders tend to come from these business backgrounds and economics, and of course it's important, and I don't want my country to go into debt or everyone to be struggling, and I want enough taxes to be paid so that we can afford proper infrastructure and all that sort of thing. But certainly for one person to be calling the shots, you know, and especially if you're looking at a bipartisan sort of setup, which we do have in Australia, it's too vague, it's too broad, it doesn't help individuals, you know. And like I said, the way that our generation is going and the future of people is we're becoming more individual. We're finding our niche, we're finding what we're good at, we're going into some very different careers, you know. It's not just your teaching and your law and your medicine and your very basic sort of general subjects. Now there is a lot more that you can actually do. And of course, getting all these experts' ideas, they should all be considered when creating policies. Some policies that can impact people detrimentally beyond repair in such a different type of way than what it probably could have previously. Perhaps I can help with that, perhaps you can help with that. These are issues that I feel very passionate about. This has gone from a bit of a rant to more of a philosophical sort of rant, I guess. But that can happen, that's who I am, that's generally where I get all my thoughts from. So I think that's it for me today. I just wanted to get it out there. If this happens to you, or you feel my situation, my problem, or agree or disagree, even, hey, I love people who disagree because I can argue with them in a good way. I just like, you know, I'm not here saying things just off a whim. You know, these are things I believe in. These are things that I read about in my perspective. The thing that I'm always telling people is, yes, I'm very set on what I believe in, but I'm also very open-minded. I can only tell you what I know today. If I'm informed otherwise of something different, something new that gives me a different perspective, then I like to think that I can move forward with that. I don't deny a fact once I know it, then it's a choice of being ignorant or not. So by all means, get stuck in. I just want to say thank you to anyone who has watched this video, anyone who has subscribed, anyone who's commented, anybody who's liked. Like I said, any comments, any thoughts, any feedback, just let me know, and I'd love to discuss them in another video. So until next time, thank you again, and I will see you all soon. So peace out.